Okay, welcome to class, students. Today we have an interesting topic to learn, but it is not a new thing because we started it yesterday, and today we hope to complete it. But before we dive into today's lesson, I just want to thank everyone who has sent me a message, either through Facebook or WhatsApp or even SMS, and encouraging me to continue to do this kind of work. I appreciate that. And it is my pleasure that I'll always come out with this new content that will help Ghana and then people outside Ghana. So let's get into today's lesson. So let's look for our objective for today so that we can all be in a position. So today, by the end of today's lesson, you should be able, it means that whoever is following this section should be able to perform Python try and what? Except. So this try and except simply means that how we handle errors, how we handle users' errors when they are using our system. So we get into it into more details, and then the Python else if, how we can use Python to make multiple decisions, because you want to give users the opportunities to make multiple decisions. So we have so many programs that will give the user the power to make any decision he or she want. So we are going to implement that concept today. So just follow up, and then at the end of the day, you're part of the achievers. So open your PyCharm, and if you open your PyCharm, this is the interface that you'll be presented with. So as soon as you have this interface, I've already created a folder, and I named that folder as Flow Control Day2 because we started Flow Control yesterday. So today is our second day of learning Flow Control. So to create this folder, just click on this file. So if you click on this file, you can see that there is a pop-up menu. Just click on the new project. And then when you click on this new project, let's just click it. Then enter the name here, enter the name of the project and click create. When you do that, you will have the same window of this nature. You may be presented with something of this sort, something of this nature. So, but you can minimize these left windows by just clicking on the project here, and then it will get minimized. If you want it, then just click on it, and then it will bring it back. So whichever way you want it, you can do it. So just click on it because we want to have a very big window whereby you guys can see proper. So now, if you now have this folder created, then we need to create a file inside this folder. And that's the conventional way we have been doing it. So just right click on the folder, which is Flow Control Day2. So just right click on it. So let's wait. And then you can see a menu has popped up. So from the new menu that we had, now highlight the first column, which is new, and then navigate to Python file. You can see there is Python file in the other window. Click on that Python file. So when you click on that Python file, it will ask you to enter your file name. So let's just give it a file name, Flow Control. Flow Control. And if you have been following my lectures, all the time the first word, I made everything small letters. And then the second word, I always begin it with what? Capital. That's my conventional way. It doesn't matter the way you do it, but this is how I name my files. So when you enter your file name, just press the what? The enter key. Just press it from your keyboard. So, and let it to burn. You can see that the file has created. We have a file here, which is what flow control.py, and we all know why we have this .py. We said the .py is what? Python what? Extension. So even when you are writing script, like the day we wrote some script, we added this what? .py to our file name so that it will know that that is a Python what? File, so that when you run it, it will execute as you expected. Now, yesterday, we learned something about concatenation, and we try to concatenate a string to a number, and then it wasn't working yesterday because Python gets such information. But then there are situations that you will need to do that. So how can we curtail that? So to do that, let's just demonstrate a little bit about what we did yesterday so that we can then continue from today's session. So I hope you guys can see. Let me try and then zoom it. So assuming we want to print a username. For instance, we have name. Let's declare a variable to a name. And this name, we assign it to a person's name, which is what? Tijani. That's my name. So if we are printing, we can say print, then we can say print what? So we are printing Tijani's name. So welcome. So let's just say welcome Tijani. Welcome. So we want this welcome to be inside what? Double what? Quotation. So let's put it inside double quotation and write welcome. Then after this welcome, then let's go out of the welcome and then concatenate it to what? Tijani. So, and the variable that is holding Tijani is what? Name. So we have to bring the what? The name. So, and to concatenate it, you use what? The additional what? Sign, which is a plus sign. Then you just write, you bring your variable, which is what? Tijani. Now, let's try and then run this code and see whether we are getting errors or. Okay, guys, let's wait. My Python is still building. So that's what it is. Okay, welcome back. It has finished what? Loading. In your case, you will not have this trouble because I'm recording. So because of the recording, and it needs a machine that has much what resources, but then we don't have it now. But then it's not a big problem. We can still do whatever we want to do. Now, we were talking about how we can concatenate a string and then a string. Python accepts that. But in a situation whereby you want to concatenate a string to an integer, so this is a string, and then we are going to concatenate a string to a string because we put this welcome in what? In two double quotations. And anytime we put anything in either two double quotations or single quotation, it means that it's a string. So if we run this program, we are not going to get any errors because Python understands what? How to concatenate a string to a string using the what? The additional what? Symbol or sign. So let's run it. So just right click and then run. Click on run. And you can see it has printed out what? Welcome Tijani. So now let's make a string and then an integer to see whether it will work. So let's make this name as what? Number. Number. And then let's assign the number to what? The number to number 20. You know, that's my favorite number. So we change this one to a number. Now let's try and run the number, this program. Let's run the program. And you can see we are getting what? Errors. So how can we then fix this what? Errors. So to fix it, instead of using the what? The plus sign, then we will be using what? The comma, so that it will understand that it can concatenate the two together. So let's take off the additional sign and then put comma and see when we run it, whether we are going to have the same issues. So let's run it. And guys, you can see it will return what? Welcome 20. So it means that Python, when you are concatenating an integer to a string, then you have to use what? The comma. It's very important, and people must take note of it. But if you are concatenating a string to another string, then you are going to use what? The plus what? Sign. Take note of that. I hope I made myself clear here. Now, let's then look at what we did about yesterday with regards to what? The decisions. So yesterday, we compare two numbers. For instance, if we have something like number 1 is equal to maybe 10. Then, so let's make this one number 1. So number 1, and then we then have number what? Number 2 to be equal to what? 20. Now, if we want to compare whether number 1 and number 2 are the same, then we can compare using so many what? Options. But to compare, we can just say print, because we want to make things simple. Print, so number one is it equal to, and because we are comparing to see whether number 1 and number 2 are the same, we are using the word the double equal sign. So it's number 1 equal to number 2. So if number 1 and number 2 are the same, which is not, it will return what? True. But once number 1 and number 2 are not the same, it will give us what? False. But then let's run and see the results we are going to get. And guys, you can see that it has returned what? False. So because number 1 and number 2 are not what? The same. Then let's also move to the flow control that we did, which is the if. So assuming you ask a user to enter a number. So maybe let's set number to be equal to, so int, because we want a user to enter what? An integer what? Number. So we want users to enter integer. So we then, and if you have been following us from day one, you should know what we are doing. We are just setting number to what? To this inbuilt what? Function. The int is inbuilt function. The input is inbuilt function. But this is the prompt that will prompt the user to enter the what? The integer number. So we tell the user enter an integer what? Enter an integer number. Our resources is soft. So now, if then we want the user to enter what? An integer. If the user enter an integer number, then it should say what? You have entered what? An integer number. But if a user enters any number apart from integer, then it should say you have entered what? A negative what? Number. So we can use the decision, which is the if, to determine this information that is going to what? To be printed out to the user. So let's say if, then we bring this to parentheses, and then we say if number, which is the variable, if number. So now let's say if number is greater than or equal to, and we learned this one yesterday. is greater than or equal to 0, then we want it to say that you have entered what? A positive what? Number. So because any number that is 0 or more, we say it is what? A positive number. So if number is greater than or equal to 0, then it should say, it should print to the user that you have entered what? A positive what? Number. So let's see, print you have entered a positive number. So this is what is going to, if the user really enters a number, that is what? An integer. It will generate this information. You have entered what? A positive what? Number. And then if the user enters what? A negative number, then it should tell the user too that he has entered what? A negative number. So let's determine. And to do that, you bring the else what? Condition. So the else. Then you then come down and then say print. Then you have what? You have entered a what? A negative number. So when we run this code, it should tell us what kind of number the user has entered. And if the user enters any positive number, then it should generate what? You have entered what? A positive number. And if otherwise, then it should then generate you have entered what? A negative what? Number. So let's run our program. So it is asking us to enter an integer number. So if I enter 45, then it generated something like you have entered what? A positive what? Number. It has generate this information for us, which is the what? The first what? Condition. Now, let's run it and then enter a what? A negative number and see. So let's wait. So it is asking us to enter any number. So if we enter negative 30, then you can see that it has what? Generated, you have entered a what? A negative what? Number. So this is what we were learning yesterday. Now, there are situations whereby you want to tell the user that, okay, the number you have entered is really what? Positive. That means that from 1 to infinity, positive numbers, and then from -1 till infinity, negative number. But then you want the 0. When the user enter 0, it should say that you have entered what? 0. Because for now, when we run the code and run and enter elif and enter 0, it will not say you have entered 0. It will say you have entered what? A positive number. So let's try it and see. Let's enter 0. You can see that it returns you have entered what? A positive what? Number. So we want to determine this what? These 3 parameters. If the user enter from 1, positive 1 till infinity, it should say what? Positive number. -1 up to infinity, it should say what? Negative number. But then if the user enters 0, then it should say the user has entered what? 0. But then we also want the number to what? To display the number the user has what? Entered. So we can add, and we say to concatenate a string to an integer, then we are going to use the what? The comma. And then we add our variable, which is what? Number. Then we come here to and do the same thing. So add comma, and then put the variable there, which is number. Now, let's run the code and then enter any number and see. So let's run it. So let's enter 4. So you can see that you have entered what? Positive what? Number. And the number the user entered is what? 4. So it means that we have achieved what we want. Okay, let's try the -1 too. So it is asking us to enter an integer number. So if we enter -5, then it says you have entered what? a negative what number, and it has returned what negative what 5 for us, because that's what we entered. Now, like I said, we want to validate 3 what conditions. 1, we want to know whether the user has entered really a positive number from 1 till infinity, or from -1 till infinity, or he or she has entered what 0. So it means that to do that, you have to use the what the else if, which is our second what objective. You have to use it, means that we are going to apply what this condition. But then before we even go there, let's just try to understand that. Then before we then come back to the first what objective that we intend to achieve. So because we are doing something of that sort. So if you want to implement this here, then you have to remove this equal sign. You can make it this way. If number is greater than 0, it should say what? You have entered what? A positive what? Number. Then the second decision, which is else if, and then the variable number should be equal to 0. So in case the user enters any number, if the user enters 0, then it should say you have entered what? 0. So it should say you have entered 0, but not you have entered what? A positive number. So let's just do it. You have entered a negative what? Number. And we want to add the number the user is entering, which is our variable. So now, we now have what? 3 what? Parameters. 1, if the user enter any number that is greater than what? 0. And any number that is greater than 0 will start from what? 1. So if a user enters any number that is greater than 0, it should say you have entered what? A positive number, and it should print that number for us. But if the user really enters 0, then it should say you have entered what? 0. 0, sorry. You have entered 0 number. You have entered 0 what? Number. And then the number 2 should what? Display. Else, if the user then enter either positive or 0, then and enter a negative number, then it should then print you have entered what? A negative what? Number. So let's run the code. So let's enter 1 and see. It says you have entered in a positive number, and it has printed out what? 1 for us, because that's one we entered. Then let's run the code once again. Then let's enter -1. And it says you have entered a negative what? Number. You can see it here, down here. So then let's validate the last condition, which is the 0. So let's enter 0 and see. And guys, you can see you have entered what? A 0 number. So this is how we can use the else if to validate multiple what? Conditions. So the else if is very important when you want to set multiple what? Conditions. So you can use the else if, even if the decision the user is going to make is going to be even 1,000. You can use the what? The else if condition to handle what? Such situation. Now, we have situations whereby you ask the user to enter a number. For instance, let's just take off this. And if the user enters the number, then maybe the user may, instead of the user entering maybe an integer number, the user may enter a string. And then Python will say, I don't understand what you want me to do. And for that matter, it will print out what? Error. Let's do it so that you people will understand what I'm talking about. So for instance, so we are asking the user to enter a number. So we want the user to what? To enter what? Any number. So when the user enters any number, it should print it to us. So let's say print. You have entered number. It's a string, so let's put it in double quotation. Sorry, guys. Sometimes it's hard to be coding and then be talking and then be recording. All these stuff, you have to be careful. So you have entered. You have entered. So let's put the comma, and then we bring the what? The number, so that it will print the number the user have entered. So let's run this code. So we are just asking the user to enter a number. So if the user really read the statement very well, enter an integer number, then and the user enter 2, then it should say you have entered what? 2, which is fine. But then if I run the code once again, and then it asks the user to enter an integer number, and then the user entered number 3, because number 3 is what? An integer. So, but then because it is a word, Python understands it to be what? A string. So when you execute this command, then you are going to get what? Error. So let's type enter, and you can see it has given out what? Error, because Python can't handle such situation. So when it comes to this, how can we then handle this kind of what? Situation, so that user will not find themselves what? Wanted. So that's what we are going to learn. And that's the whole concept about what? The try and what? Accept. So we are going to try to accept the what? The user's what? Errors. So let's do it. So before you do it, first you have to bring the keyword try. And it is a built-in what? Function again. And that was the reason why I told you guys not to worry about the what? The built-in what? Function, because we are going to be using the built-in functions. And then once we are using them, then you'll be picking them what? Up and know the uses of them. So now we are using the keyword try. So what are we trying? We want the user to enter what? An integer number. But in case the user enters a number, but in the form of writing, then it should tolerate it. But then we'll ask the user to enter what? An integer number. Assuming we say, so let's say number is equal to, so int, input. By this time, you guys should know this one. So that's why I'm not more explaining. Enter a what? A number. So sometimes the program will just say, enter a number. So without guiding the user. So the user may be tempted to enter maybe the number in the form of a string by spelling it. So when it happens that way, you should tolerate it and then ask the user to enter what? A positive number. So let's see, then we then print. Print what? So print, you have entered that. So let's see the number the user is going to. So let's just print the number that the user is going to enter. So number. We are just calling the variable here. Now, if you have it this way, now if you run this, you will get error because we have to bring the what? The exception. So except, and you can see it's a built-in function. So then we then say, we then ask the user, because we anticipate that the user may be tempted to enter something that is invalid. We want to accept that. So let's just print. Before we even go for print, let me make it simple for you guys. So let's bring the same number. Number is equal to int, so that we can then guide the user appropriately to enter what? The right number. So here, let's tell the user to enter what? An integer instead of just enter a number. So enter an integer. Enter an integer. So now, so in case the user entered any number that is not an integer, like in the form of writing, then it should catch that problem and then ask the user to enter an integer number. So let's print whatever the user will be entering the second time. So now let's run our code. So it asks the user to enter what? A number. So when we enter 3, it will print 3, fine. But in case the user enters what? The 3 in the form of what? Spelling the 3. So let's see what we are going to get. So it has accepted the what? The error. But then it asks the user to enter what? An integer. So it means that the user will now know that, okay, I've spelled the 3. So maybe they want me to just enter what? Number 3. So when the user then entered number 3, then it then accepts the what? The input and then display what? 3 to the what? To the user. So this is how we use the try and then the except what? Condition or built-in functions to what? To handle what? Users what? Errors. So from today onward, when you are writing any what? Software code, and then it demands certain information that you think the user might enter something inappropriate, then you have to implement this one, the try and then the except what? Built-in functions, so that it can validate the user's what? Information and then redirect them to do the what? The right thing. So this is how we use the try and then the except what? Function to handle what? Issues. Now, we are going to look at one thing again, and then we then end today's session so that you people can continue to search, and then what we have done, it will guide you to do the rest of the whatever you want to learn. And if you have any question, you just send it to me. So here, we want the user to enter multiple what? There should be what? Multiple what? Decisions in which the user is entering. So in this situation, we should have a way to accommodate such multiple what? Conditions. So for instance, in Ghana here, we all know that if someone is above 60 years, we say the person is what? Agent. If someone is between 40 years to maybe 59, we say the person is what? Matured. And if someone is between 18 years to 39, we say the person is young. And then if someone is below the 18 years old, then we say the person is what? An infant. So let's write a Python script that we can determine this what? This kind of what? Parameters in which users will be entering. So when the user enters 60 or 90, it should say you are an agent. So let's try and do something in practical terms so that you can implement it in your what? Your real life situation. And the reason is this. I just want you to experience the power of the what? The else if. You can use it, I said you can use it to validate 1,000 what? Conditions. So let's use it to validate. So first, let's see, we are going to determine what? Age. So our variable is what? Age. Let's set our variable to be age. So age will be, and we want the user to enter what? Integer number. So when it is age, they all enter numbers. So age, then let's take the input. So input. So we are asking the user, enter your age. So we're asking the user to enter his age. So now, if the user enter any number that is 60 and above, we still say the person is what? Aged. It means that the person has age. So so we are bringing the first condition. If age, which is the variable, if age is greater than or equal to, and we learned these operators yesterday. So if you don't know what we are doing, learn the previous video. So if age is greater than or equal to 60, so we want to catch from 60 above. So that's why we are using the greater than or equal to 60. Then you bring this column. It's very important. If you don't bring it, you will be getting errors. So then immediately you bring the column and tap enter, it will automatically indent it for you. Then you then bring your whatever you want the code to execute to the user. So we want it to say you have what? Age. So you have age. So this is what we want to be printed to the user. But then let's add the number the user is entering, the age the user is entering. And we said to concatenate an integer to a string, we use comma. Then let's just add the variable age. So it means that when we run this program and someone enters 60 and above, then it should say you have age to that person. So, but we want to validate so many conditions. So we then use the else if again. Else, then bring your two parentheses. Else if age, which is our variable, is greater than or equal to 40. So we want to now validate from 40 to 50 9. From where? 40 to to 50 9. So let's run our column, which is a math to do. Then we should print. Then we want to tell the user that you are early age. It means that that's early age. You are early what? Age. So it means that you are not all that old, but then you are beyond mature person. So let's add our variable because we want to determine whatever the user is entering. Then the other option too. So else if, so another condition. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, we want to set that one too. Then you bring your column, and then we want to say that whoever is 18 years up to 39, we should say the person is what? Mature. So let's print. You are now mature. So you can vote if you are mature. You are now mature and you should be able. Don't try and cheat. So let's add our variable. Then, but if the person is not 60 and above, and the person is not 40 and above, and the person is not what? 18 and above, then we should say that you are still a kid. So else. So, and then the last condition supposed to what? Else. It's supposed not to be else if again, because that's the last condition we are validating. So else print. So if you are below 18 years, we should say you are a what? You are a kid. So else print. You are a what? A kid. And you can vote. You are a kid and you cannot vote. So we wanted to print to the user that the user is still a kid, and then he or she cannot what? Cannot vote. So, voting is just approaching. We are praying that this virus will go away, and then God will see us through the rest of our lives. So let's add our variable, which is age. Now these are the conditions that we set, and we just want you to know that you can use the else if to set so many what conditions. So that's why I'm just trying to use the else if more than one time so that you can fill it. So if you want to use it more than 1,000 times, you will know that it will work. So now we are saying that age, the age here is a variable. And then we are assigning this equal sign is what? Assignment what? Operator. And then the int here is just validating whatever the user is going to what? To enter should be what? An integer what? Number. Then the input here is accepting whatever the user is going to enter. So, and then the enter your name is just a prompt. It is going to prompt the user to enter what? To enter his age. So the enter your age is just a prompt that will guide the user to enter what? His or what age. Then, so here's now where the conditions start. Now, if the user enters something that is 60 or above 60, then the condition should execute that you are an agent. And then print what? The number, the age number the user entered. It should say you have what? Age. And then it should give the user the number he or she enters. Now, else if, that's another condition we are setting. If the user enters age, that is 40 or between 40 to 59, then it should print that you are what? Early what? Age. It means that you are not all that age, but you are getting to what? The age, those who are old in our society. And then it should print out the what? The value or the number the user was entered. Now, if the user entered 18 or a number between 18 up to what? 39, then it should print out that you are now mature. And then it should give the user the number the user enters. And then the last condition will then validate. If the user enter any number that is below what? 18, then it should say what? You are a kid and you cannot what? Vote. So these are some of the conditions you can set. And we can even make it in such a way that if the user enter any number, that is what? Negative. And I don't want to take you people there. It will be another work. Because as long as the user enter a negative, it will still bring this one. But in age, we don't have negatives. So tomorrow, God willing, when we are going to continue from where we are going to stop today, then tomorrow we shall look at things of that nature so that we can handle issues like negative in terms of what? Age. So now, if the user entered any number below what? 18, then it should print you are a kid and you can't vote. So now let's execute our code. Let's run it. So it says enter your age. So if I enter 90, it has printed out you are age and it has returned what? The value that I entered, which is 90. So assuming I entered maybe something like 17. So let's put 17. Oh, sorry. Assuming I entered 17. Then it says you are a kid and you cannot vote. And the value I've entered there is what? 17. And guys, this is how we set conditions. And when you follow whatever I'm teaching you, at the end of the day, we should be able to even build a system that the EC can now implement whenever you come and sit in front of the camera, because we now have the database for users, everyone in this country. As soon as you sit in front of the camera, then the camera will take you a picture and then use your picture to validate the records inside the database. When it validates the data inside the database, then it then brings out your information and determine whether you are up to 18 or more for it to give you a voter ID or not. So if you are not up to the age, it should return something like you are below 18 years, and for that matter, you can't have a voter ID. And then it should give you a copy so that you can take home. And all these things we can build a system of that nature without even, and when we set it at the centers whereby the issue of the voter ID will be taking place, you don't need even many people to even conduct that exercise. It's just a matter of the person who set up the environment, and then users, those at the polling station will be coming, and then they will just sit. When they come, they will go and sit on a chair, and then it will take them the picture automatically. It isn't that the cameraman will, the system will automatically sense the person and then take a picture of that person. And when it takes the picture of that person, it then validates the person picture with the record that the EC is having. And then when it validates, and then it gets to know that, okay, the person really exists and the person is a Ghanaian, then it then also checks to find out whether the person is 18 or below 18. So if the person is 18 or above, then it issues the person what? The card, the voter card. If the person is below, it says, sorry, you are below 18, and for that matter, we can't issue you the card. And if you follow this tutorial, at the end of whatever we are doing here, you should be able to build what? These kind of systems. So don't take this thing like, don't take it lightly. Put all your seriousness in it, and then at the end of the day, you'll be doing something that will help matter what? Ghana. We don't want you guys to be buying things or outsourcing or sourcing whatever from other countries. We want to now do things ourselves. So we beg you people, take this lesson seriously. And then at the end of the day, Ghana will win. Now, let's run and put maybe any number that is 59. Let's put 59 and see what we are going to get. And you can see if you run the code, you have to bring your cursor down here and click here. Other than that, when you are typing the number, it will be typing inside where you write your code. So be mindful of that. Just bring your cursor here and type here, so you can then enter 59. And when you enter 59, it should say you are what? Early what? Age, because it is not up to us, 60. So it shouldn't say you are age. But then let's see what we are going to say. And guys, you can see it says you are what? Early what? Age. And it has printed out what? 59. So this is the power of using Python to program systems, and then it will work like what? Magic. Meanwhile, you are not performing any magic. You are just using your creativity to do things. So this is where we are going to stop for today. I don't want to compact you guys with so many skill sets whereby you can't handle. So we are going to take things bit by bit. So at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want to do with Python. And I'm going to guide you to get to that level. We are just praying that God should give us long life so that we can continue to give you this kind of what? Education. Thank you for watching, and then I hope to see you tomorrow.